thank you for coming. You will be also appreciated for coming here and for staying with us with participation certificates for the author workshop or for the Elsevier academic workshop. We will send you after the seminar a link for a survey, and upon completion of that survey you will receive that beautiful certificate. And last organizational thing would be about questions. Do not hesitate to ask at any moment. It's really much better than doing it enough in only afterwards. I scheduled 1 hour for the first presentation, but if you have a question, we can have it a bit longer, definitely. I will not cut it, I think. That's the purpose, to be here, to mostly answer your questions. So you see the program. So welcome once again to Elsevier Academic Workshop, where I'll guide you together with my colleague Krzysztof Szymański, who will come a little bit later on because he has a meeting still, through the skills that are needed for those who want to write academic papers. It's not necessarily only about papers. Those skills are of course usable as well, for instance, when you're writing your thesis, whether it is master thesis, bachelor or PhD, and other types of publications as well. So we will go through 4 topics. One is how to write articles. Second is a very short introduction to Mendeley, which is a reference manager and academic collaboration network. Then we do a short break, and after the break we guide you through the 2 databases, ScienceDirect, that is one that you have access to, so we'll also go through the live demo, and then Krzysztof will show you a little bit from the Scopus database. Currently there is no access at your university to the database, but we still found it useful to share with you some insights, as sooner or later within your academic career you might meet with this, and also might meet with the topics that are around those things which are bibliometrics, measurement, tracking your performance, etc., etc. All right, so that's for the introduction, and let me jump directly into the first presentation. All right, so what we will be talking about today in this lecture is how to write academic articles and how to get it published. So our structure, or the presentation, is structured into those points. So first I will mention a couple of the things about the scientific publishing as such, about us publishers. I'm representative of a publisher. Then what you should do before writing your paper, how to structure and write the paper itself, about English language, submission process and peer review process in journals, how it goes, and the final slides will be dedicated to the ethical aspect of not only publishing work, but in general scientific work, and the very last slide will be dedicated to what you should do in order to promote your research, and also why you should promote your research a little bit more. Maybe important to say that this slide deck is a generic one, so it's not focused specifically on any subject topic, and therefore also it might not exactly fit to all of the subject topics. Scientific publishing varies a lot. You know, mathematicians do a little bit different job than historians do. So this is kind of a generic, and I will actually mention repeatedly one advice. This is the first time I'm mentioning it. It is always good if you have questions, to see the practice. So just go to the article where you want to publish, to the journal, and see how those article looks like. This is really, one of the best advices and best things you can do. All right, try if. Okay, so I rather use this. So what we as publishers do, what's the full cycle of publishing? So first of all, we need to be attractive to our readers and also to researchers to submit their manuscript to us. So we solicit and manage submissions. With those submissions, we put them to peer review and manage the peer review. Afterwards, if an article is accepted, it needs to be edited in detail and prepared for the publication. And afterwards, there is a production process. There is quite a lot of work still from the final, let's say, a Word version of the article to really to make it to the point that we display it on Science Direct. And I will show a couple of things such as content innovations, what we do with the content that you share with us, and how to enable it to be better used by researchers. And of course, afterwards, we publish it and disseminate, and the cycle starts all again. Couple of numbers for those. So, I can see smile on your faces. Why it's so funny? Maybe you can share?
Because I'm editor of Elsevier and I know it.
All right, excellent. So, so 30 to 60% of articles are rejected directly at the desk of editor. It never goes actually to the reviewer itself. Why? There might be a couple of reasons, but the most frequent are the content of the article doesn't fit to the journal, or it is poorly written, either when it comes to the English language, and that's why we have one of the points of the presentation there. And the second thing would be that the article is really poorly written in terms of content and structuring. Do not hesitate to add any time.
No, I'm listening, I'm learning.
Oh, actually, maybe I can learn from you as well. So we do work with a huge, I call it army of reviewers, more than 500,000, and as you can see from the live example here, there is a way how to do it, to be the part of this 500,000 people, and well, 13,000 editors as well. We accepted last year, in 2014, 365 articles out of more than 1 million submissions. This year it's going to be close to 400,000 out of 1.4 million. And from there you can easily calculate the overall rejection rate, which is 60 to 70%, so 3 to 4 articles do it to the publication. Overall, there are 13 million articles available in Science Direct, which we will talk further about. And maybe an interesting number for you, we don't share this number that often, is how many times the articles are read or downloaded. And the number is 700 million times, or for this year we expect actually 800 million times. It also depends how you count it, but this is the rough number. And Science Direct has 11 or 12 million users today, which also means that I can only recommend you, when you try to publish, to seek for those international publishers, and especially maybe Elsevier, because this is the visibility then that we provide you compared to when you publish maybe in a local journal that's not that well visible as Elsevier content is. And full stop for the publishing, because we are here for the writing, not for presenting publishing companies. So let us start about thinking before you start writing your article. And the thing that you need to do is assess critically whether your work is ready to be published. What does it mean, be ready to be published? Well, you should have original results or methods in your pocket, or in your computer, in your head. It should be, or it should be significant enhancement of already published work, or it needs to be an up-to-date review of a subject or a field. So this is when you tick at least one of those options, then you can start writing. And if not, if you are not sure whether maybe this was already published, or there is new work on that topic, or that the conclusions might not be maybe that strong, then think twice and rather spend some more work on the research itself, because it will take you a lot of time to write an article, submit it, handle it, maybe revise, And then if you're finally rejected, you lose all that time. So it's really better to invest the time at the beginning. What is then a strong manuscript? What is the thing that should be submitted? Well, a strong article is made by quite simple things, and it is clear and useful message, a logical manner, and the form needs to enable the readers to grasp, to understand easily the content of the article and the essence of the research. Why? There is million papers, as you could see today, and the quicker understanding you enable for the reader, the better it attracts the readers, and also the better mood with the editors when they first time read the article, and the higher chance actually to be accepted. It's quite simple to say that, right? I would say that even if I would ask you that question, that you would put this together yourself. So it's kind of not that great tip and trick. But actually, it's still important to say that, because the things that you're doing are not always that easy. And actually, it's very difficult to write simply and easily about the complex things that you are investigating in your research, in your work, in your analysis. Alright, there are several types of articles. Most probably you know the first one, which is full article, or often called also original research paper, and many other different names. Basically, it is a substantial, complete, and comprehensive piece of research written into an article. You might also consider, or people from certain subject fields consider, to publish letters or short communications, and that's in the case when they have thrilling, surprising results to the community that they want to share really, really quickly. And last type that is quite well known is review paper. Review paper is a summary of recent development on a specific topic, and important to point out that it is often written by senior researchers and submitted by invitations. Sometimes I could see that people, junior researchers, are thinking the way that, it's sometimes easier than to complete a full research, but actually it is not, and I can see that from the Elsevier editor here, because really to do a full and good review, it takes quite a lot of experience that you need to have to be able really to critically assess what happened in the field of research. So it's definitely not the work for junior researcher. You might be also involved actually in research of let's say, of the apparatus of the research, of doing research itself. Therefore, you might be investigating the methods, the softwares, or the data that are resulting from research. And for that today you can find specific types of journals where you can submit, and that are dedicated to those three types that I mentioned. Alright, so this is, let's say, the thinking that you do before, and the next step that you do is you need to think about the right journal to select. By selecting the good journal, you ensure that you will reach the right target audience, because people usually tend to read 1 or 2 or 3 journals. So how you should select the journal? So the advice is again quite easy. First of all, check your reference list. Most probably the place where you take your knowledge from, the most frequent place, would be the best place also to publish. Also, you might check what supervisor or your colleagues thinks about it. Sometimes people have different insights. Or, of course, if you're not sure or want to also broaden your perspective, go to the databases, for instance, to the Science Direct or other databases, and simply do the search on the topic that you are investigating, and it will return you the most frequent journals that the people publish in about those topics. In those databases, it is actually quite a good step to do once upon a time, because they can also provide you with some quality indicators and other information that might be useful and may change your decision, or may influence the decision about the selection of the journal. So how you should investigate them? when you go this way to select, let's say, a handful of journals, check the aims and scope of the journal. That's a part that's written on the journal website, and that's where the journal expresses what they want to do, because they have also an ambition to advance and to contribute to development of certain subject field. And actually, this should be fully in line with your research, with your subject field and subject matter that you are studying. Then you might check the accepted type of articles, as I just explained. Readership, who reads them, again, go to the databases. What is the type of peer review? And again, I will talk about peer review just in a few slides. The speed of publication process or subscription versus open access. You should, well, despite the fact you maybe select at the beginning 3 or 5 journals, if that many exist, and then you are selecting, you finally should choose only one journal. Simultaneous submissions are prohibited. And of course, speaking of data-driven approach, there are already tools how you can also help yourself a little bit to select your journal. We do have so-called journal matching tool that is available on our website for free, so you can go there, and I'll just show you one example how you can find journal for your research. So you basically go just to elsevier.com website. There is a link in the presentation, but I better show you how you get there. That's something you will remember maybe better. So you just go to elsevier.com, then in the middle submit your paper. And there is a step-by-step illustration of the process. So we are finding a journal, so we click there. And this is the tool, match your manuscript. All right, and a simple form opens where you should submit just paper title and paper abstract. And let me pick up a random article from Science Direct and see what it will suggest. So I will pick up a topic I will also use later on, which is taken from your website, because this is one of the focus research areas at your university, as I read in your mission statement. And surprisingly, the first article is from Lithuania. Do you know those people? All right. So what we need to do now is just to take the title and abstract. It is also advisable to adjust to the field of science. Why? Because the subjects are studied from different perspectives. If I can give a very simplistic example, if you have a sunflower, for instance, it might be subject of an agriculture, of biology, horticulture, and so on and so on. So this would be, let's say, humanities and arts, and maybe social sciences. And you just hit find a journal. And you are getting quite nice results with many information in it. It's ranked by the relevance. And the other information that you can see aside of this first relevance is impact, as per impact factor. Editorial time, how long does it take to go through the editorial process. Acceptance rate, quite important. You can see only 10%, which means 1 out of 10. So maybe you would, with your first article, maybe you would not go there. 8 weeks for the production. the open access. I'm not sure how much you have heard about open access, but basically this is the way where when all authors can pay for publication, and then it is not behind subscription paywall. Embargo period in case it's only subscription, and the fee if you would like to publish in that particular journal. Also, if you are more in-depth informed about those things, there are types of use licenses you can use, but these are pretty detailed information already. But some people need that and decide based on that as well. And the good thing on this tool is that you just click on the title and you are directly on the website, and there you can find more information, as I mentioned, the aims and scope, or very important for you, the guide for author, and I will talk about guide for author just in a while. Alright, so coming back to my presentation, so this would be the direct link for that tool, journalfund.elsevier.com, but as you could see, you can also find it quite easily. At least try it, maybe it will give you interesting results. So, I mentioned impact factor right now, so how important that thing is. Have you heard about impact factor before? Yes. And, so first of all, what it is. So this is the exact calculation, but let me rather say it in words. So it is, let's say, average citation, average number of citations that every article in that journal receives, and it's measured over 2 or 5 years. And this metric is quite simple, quite simply to be calculated, quite easily to be understood. But as you know, probably from all the aspects of your life, simple things usually bring with a lot of inconveniences, caveats and shortcomings. And the same cases with impact factor. First of all, it might be quite easily influenced by the editorial policies of the journal, because editors can elevate the impact factor just by citing in their own editorials and other formats that are not citable items itself. And it also varies by field a lot. If you are, for instance, a researcher in agriculture field, you can't go over impact factor 5. Why? Because there is no journal in agriculture that would have higher impact factor than 5. Whereas if you're in the field of biomedicine, it might be 10, it might be 20, it might be 30, it might be even more. So in that sense, you then need to apply quite some work to further combine and really see and compare, for instance, between subject fields. And also it varies by the types of papers published. We mentioned the review type, and review types usually tend to attract a lot of citations. Why? Because when you're putting together the theoretical part of your article, then you need to find the theory somewhere, and it is usually well described in those review papers, and that's why people very often cite them. And therefore, if you're an editor, of course, you would try to publish as many reviews as possible, because it will bring you some more citations, so also this one. One last comment on the impact factor is that impact factor used to be golden standard. And on a purpose, I say used to be because the world is changing quite a lot in recent 1 or 2 years. And actually many countries or many research management bodies decided to measure the quality in research differently. It might come once also to Lithuania. The change already happened, for instance, in National Science Foundation. That's the biggest grant agency in US. It has happened in European Commission, European Research Council, UK, Portugal, Denmark, Italy, and so on and so forth, where they used data from Scopus, where different indicators are provided, and that's also why we listed today a very short presentation about Scopus, just to let you know also what the others are doing and what you might be asked for once you're maybe going abroad and or applying for internships and jobs at different universities. All right, let's move from assessing the quality to the review. and how different peer review processes are being seen by the stakeholders in this game. Well, it's not, I don't think this graph is very intuitive, so let me a little bit provide you an explanation how that works. So this is a graph what authors think, this is a graph what reviewers think. And the bigger the white bar, the more popular the type of the peer review is, okay? So, as you can see now, easily single blind and double blind are the most popular until today. It's not changing. Single blind is when author doesn't know the reviewer, but reviewer knows the name of the author. Double blind is that also the reviewer doesn't know the name of the author. In a certain subject fields, the one is more popular, in the other one. It's really different. There are many other types, as you can see. For instance, another quite popular is peer reviewed both pre and post publication. So what authors do in that case? They submit it to a subject field repository. Very popular is Arxiv. It's written.org. And they first hear comments from the colleagues from the field. They maybe improve and then only submit to a real journal. Or people experimented a lot recently, in recent years, with open peer review, when both author is known to the reviewer and the reviewer is known to the author. However, this is not attracting people that much, because it proves that, you know, when you are open, the critical edge is a little bit lost. And again, I will use a simplistic example, which of course in reality could not happen, because journals of course avoid this example, but still let me give it to you. Imagine that you would become reviewer of the journal and you receive a submitted article for the review, and it is written by your rector. And you can imagine that the rector of the university is quite a busy person, maybe he has or she has not been involved in research for quite years, and it is really a shitty paper. What would you do if that's open peer review? Yeah, you have a limited space. And again, I'm saying that this case would not happen, because journals, of course, manage to avoid conflicts of interest such as this. But still, this is to illustrate that, the openness in the critical peer review doesn't work that well. At least that's what people say. Maybe a comment on this?
Well, good afternoon. Well, maybe many of you know me. I'm speaking in the quality of editor of Elsevier. It's very complicated being open this review process, because if you are reviewing someone, people can have bad feelings about the reviewer, especially, and people say that the reviewer is always bad and don't see the positive aspects that reviewer says. These things is much more serious when you are editor, because the editor has the open name of a journal, or of a special issue or whatever. So when the editor receives the paper, and most of the papers are rejected directly, and one of the important things is that papers are rejected because they're bad edited. Pictures, format of the journal. Normally editors, they reject if they do not follow the format of the journal, go out, because it's a lack of respect. You are not professional what you are doing. So you have to follow the guidelines. That's why you have a guidelines. Otherwise, do not have a meaning of exist. Well, I don't take too much time. But the essential is that you have to see reviewers not as a devil, but especially as someone that can improve your paper. And the final decision is of the editor. And the editor will see how is the revisions, and you see the paper. And you see, okay, the revision was good or was not so good. You know, and there is always this balance that the editor is the last persons to decide about the paper, not the reviewers. The reviewers are just suggesting something. So the reviewers are not the devil, and I'm not agree. I agree with with double-blind revision that, well,
Yeah.
it's more fair, because academic life sometimes is not so fun.
Thank you. That was the editor from hell, directly speaking. As was just mentioned, it is very important to really follow the guidelines. You now heard really that they will just get you off the table if you don't do that. It's really disrespectful to the journal. Every journal has a guide for authors, so read through that. And indeed, I can share my own experience when I wrote my very first article. It was a local Czech journal. I'm from the Czech Republic. And of course, I found about this only afterwards, and it took me quite some time to redo it to that form that was described in the guide to the authors. So this is still the thing that you do before you sit down and write your article. Alright, so just a small recapitulation. So first of all, determine whether you are ready to publish. Decide on the best type of manuscript. In most cases it will be this original research paper. Choose the target journal. We show quite a couple of ways how you can think about that, and check the guide for authors. And we can sit down and start writing and structuring our papers. So there is a typical structure of the research article that you just see right now. Of course, again, here I would say check the practice in the journal that you are submitting to, because this is across all subject fields and really might differ. And just this morning I checked some of the journals from social sciences, from the social technology field, and it looks a little bit different, so really check the real practice. But for the sake of illustration, we will go now through all of these items and share some tips and tricks, and I think it will be then easy for you to adapt that for the real structure, or not real, but for the structure of your particular journal. In general, we can divide it into three blocks. First is, let's say, an advertisement to the article, which is title, abstract, and keywords. Then the content part, introduction, methods, results, and discussion, maybe also conclusion could be in the middle, and then the technical part, which is acknowledgement, references, and supporting material for your research. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. So it's the title. So what types do we have for that? So why we do have titles? Because it attracts readers to your article. It introduces your article. Therefore, it needs to be concise, needs to be specific and informative, and only identify the main issue, nothing else. Should be really easy. The more it is complicated, the higher chance the editor will get a little bit pissed off with it. And not only editor, there are many readers of your article. You should use, of course, formal language for that, and you can use abbreviations, but only if they are commonly used. And we can just read the sentence that quite illustrates how people think about that. So editors and reviewers do not like titles that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately. Additionally, if the title is not accurate, the appropriate audience may not read your paper. If you miss that point, nobody will click on your article. If nobody clicks on your article, nobody reads it, and then nobody cites you as well. Alright, the next one is keywords, and actually the generic advice would be pretty much the same. But let me first explain you why we do have keywords. This is not the part that you do for the pleasure of the editors and reviewers, but rather for the pleasure of the machines. It is used in searching, in classifying, and it helps you, again, to get your article to the list of results of the right query. Therefore, it needs to be specific. Again, if you would assign a very generic keyword such as energy, you don't even need to put it there. It doesn't have it at all. You really need to be more specific, and again, should use only established abbreviations. Sometimes there might be some advices in the guide for authors also about the keywords. Not very often, but sometimes there are. Abstract. abstract is, let's say, the last part of the introduction or of the advertisement that you do to your article. Again, if somebody is attracted by your title, the next thing to read is abstract. Therefore, it needs to enable the reader to quickly and easily understand what are you doing or what are you describing in your article. Therefore, should be brief, should summarize the problems, methods, results, and conclusions. And again, clearly written and easy to understand is a key. Make sure it is accurate, specific, and it can be also a little bit catchy. So really the easier language you use, the better. Take time to write the abstract, read it repeatedly, because it's really actually, as I said at the beginning, it's difficult to put together a very smart, brief and concise piece of text. What you can do, what is a good trick, is to share it with your colleagues. It's just one paragraph, so I think nobody will say no, just to read through, because also when you read text repeatedly and repeatedly, you also lose the critical distance from it. Introduction. So introduction is there that you can give to the reader the context of your research, where you explain the problem, mention existing solutions and limitations. This is actually in social sciences we would say that's the literature review part that you do, and identify what are you trying to achieve, or you can call it provide what is the hypothesis, what is the idea of your research, and here you can provide the perspective consistent with the nature of the journal. I spoke about these aims and scope, that journal always aims at advancing or developing certain field. Therefore, here you can provide the perspective to it. Our editor says, and I don't know if that's the case in your journal, that people tend to reuse sometimes introductions. You should, of course, not do that. First of all, the plagiarism check would catch it immediately. And second, we have seen in one of my first slides, a duplication of the work is not something that is welcome. And if you can write the same introduction, use the same introduction for more of your research papers, it would just mean that there is something duplicated. Methods. All right, so methods, or the part where you explain how you did your experiment, how you did your study, which equipment have you used. This should be pretty much detailed description, and to what level of details. There is quite easy rule to what you need to do, and that is you need to describe it to the detail that the other labs, other researchers can reproduce it. So it's kind of like a Czech chef cookbook when we speak about culinary arts. So you don't need to explain the very basic details that everybody knows, but it needs to be reproducible. And also when you are considering whether you need to mention, for instance, which type of statistical software have you used for interpretation, you would need to state that if results from different software would be different. If they are not different, you don't necessarily need to mention that. All right, so that's pretty much it for the methods. I haven't still mentioned that you should not describe previously published procedures. That's, you say what is important in the literature review or in the introduction, and here just say what you are doing. Results. So results, we are getting to the key part of the article, so where really your experiment comes in. So typically researchers produce quite large amount of data. Whether you are an analyst or whether you are a biologist, typically you would have quite a lot. And it's not advisable to use as much as possible, as much as you can shrink into that, but rather really pick up and select the data of primary importance. If one graph says and supports the hypothesis that you want to, use one graph or one table. Do not use two. You can put all the other data to supplementary document. Many journals allow today to attach with your article Excel file where you put everything, but for the article, really keep it simple. Include data of primary importance, try to structure them well, one after another. You should also use subheadings for them to make them nicely stand out. Be clear and easy to understand. Even you can help further to the editor and reviewer to understand the text by highlighting the main findings out of that. And always feature unexpected findings. That's very helpful to the world of research in general. And do not forget to provide statistical analysis for any data set. Every data, by the way, is better to be presented in visualizations. Well, not every, but in general, we as humans better understand, visualize things, and it makes us more quickly understand that. And this will be also my next set of tips and tricks, how you should do those visualizations, or in reality it is figure, it might be graph, table, picture. So first thing is that every such a figure needs to stand alone. If you would literally cut it out with scissors out of the article, it still needs to say the thing, right? So basically use well-described plots. They should not be crowded, they really should be easily understandable. Restrict the data sets as much as possible. You can also use these detailed windows that points out, that's the way how you, for instance, highlight the main point. Well-selected scales, axis labels, label size, legend, etc., etc. You should, it's good if you avoid colors. People still print, or people have different displaying devices, and yeah, sometimes orange and red can be very, very close to each other. So really try to stick to black and white if possible. And for photos, do not forget to include scale markers, and of course do not manipulate and do not adjust, etc. Any question? Right, maybe we just go further to discussion and to conclusions, and then let's maybe give some more floor to questions about the content of the article. So a specific type of the figure is a table. And I think that this slide is quite self-explanatory, right? So what you see on the left-hand side, you would not be that greatly attracted to read that. What you see on the right-hand side, it's quite easily to understand. So anywhere where you describe a bit more numbers, try to think about if table would be maybe a better representation. So, from results we move over to discussions, because the result part serves only for the purpose to present the results, to put the numbers forward, whereas discussion then is the part where you interpret and where you discuss the result. And actually in this sense it is the most important section, because here you show your brain, your knowledge, your talent, how you can really do and how you can really contribute to the research. Make the discussion correspond to the results, so it follows also the flow, but also the data that are included there. You should not include any more data in here. If you, after all, see that you would still include something more, go back to results, insert it there, and only then go back to the discussion and interpret that. The only new thing that should be coming in this part is comparisons with other experiment, with other data and publications from other research labs or universities. And the next very important part is conclusion. Conclusion is the part where you explain how your work advances the present state of knowledge and where you suggest future experiments. You can think about that in introduction. You have opened the grounds and you provided the context, you opened the research questions, and here you close them. Sometimes it is, of course, difficult to distinguish what you should write in discussion and what should be written in conclusion, but we really think about that broader context. where you have started from in the introduction, and to that the conclusion should answer. Yeah, and you should not repeat results or the abstracts here. All right, so this was, let's say, the content part of the article. So any questions to that, or any maybe experiences even, do not hesitate to share whether it was positive or negative. I think that we can learn from each other very well in this perspective.
Well, there is one thing that in introduction that a reviewer or an editor, they give a lot of importance, is the novelty of the paper and the justification of the paper, why you are doing this and what is add value to the science, because this shows the motivation of people to do the paper. Very often the reviewers ask for why you are doing this paper, why you want to answer, why you wasting so much time doing this. And this was an important question that should be raised, and if you don't know why to do it, they say, okay, so you don't know, you don't reject it, but you get a major revision for sure. And the question of the discussions, well, at least my experience in Lithuania, people are not used to make discussions of the papers, and this is a big gap in the paper production, because several colleagues, they are doing a lot of results, good synthesis, but they don't know how to explain it. And then is one of the major causes that when the paper comes to the editor's board table without discussions, out, don't even has a chance. Yeah. So this is one thing that I want to share.
Thank you, that was very helpful, because I think some people really think, introduction and conclusion, it's the part that, I just write quickly and I rather go to the research. But you can hear that that's actually really the part that helps the people to understand and see how you are thinking about the research. All right, so, I already was on the slide, so let us move to the, what I call technical part of the paper. Rather than your brain, you rather need to collect a lot of details and put it together. So first of all, acknowledgement. So acknowledgement, you basically thank to the people to help you produce the paper in a professional way. Well, you don't mention usually mother, father, and your wife, but rather your advisors, financial supporters and funders. It is very often even a condition of the crowdfunding that you need to state that in the paper, so be careful about this small detail. Proofreaders, typists, suppliers who may have donated materials, anybody that helped you, for instance, with the statistical analysis, etc., etc. Really, everybody that contributed in the professional way to your article. And then references come, so these are the citations of the literature that you have used. You should not use too many references, and there is, I say directly, there is no good number. I don't say it is 10, 20, I don't say less or more. It's just right enough that you need. If you have, a huge reference list, then it's say maybe you are not able to critically assess and select the right things from it. If you have too low amount of references, it says that maybe you don't know enough. Yeah, so that's how reviewers think about the list. Always ensure you have fully absorbed the material you are referencing. Yeah, so you should really, if you're citing that, you should know what the article means. It always can end up in the hands of the reviewer that wrote that article. So if you would be misinterpreting, it would not be quite a happy situation for you. Of course, avoid excessive self-citations, but important to say self-citations are normal, because you're studying one problem for many years. So naturally you, of course, need to cite as well what you have done, but not too many. Or citations to publications from the same region or institute. It doesn't mean you should avoid, but it says that you need to limit that, or you should limit that, because if you use only citations from your institute or your region, what does it say about you? It says, I really don't know what they are in the world doing, like Lithuania is the world for me, so Yeah, and you know that, yeah, sorry, I'm a bit exaggerating, but yeah, it means you are also by the reference list. Think about what really it says about your research and how you work. Global is research is global today, the cancer is global, the business management tools are global, social technologies are global, everything is global, so you should know also what the other authors from other countries are doing. All right, I'm a little bit more talkative than I should be, so I will start to hassle a little bit now. I already mentioned that you can add supplementary materials with your article, and it's not only about supplementary article that you can do, you can also check what other options journals provide to you, how to interpret and further use your data. It might be, for instance, integrated digital content such as interactive maps, linking data to data repositories. You might include highlights that we will see today in Science Direct, how to do that. Create graphical abstracts. Some fields are much better represented by a small picture than by a written abstract. Typically, it would be chemistry. Yeah, when they draw the reaction by chemical structures, it's much easier for them to understand than writing in the words, or embed video. All right, building your paper brick by brick. So where do you start? Advise me.
Do your research first.
Writing?
Yeah.
What do you mean, writing?
Yeah. When you know now is the moment I need to put together the paper, so what's the first thing that you do? Well, point zero is to do the research, so it needs to be already after you've done the research, but what is then the first step?
Well,
Write the main idea.
Yeah.
One sentence.
What's that you want to answer, for example?
Yeah. Well, I just really want to, there needs to be a first thing that you do. So first, of course, you need to look into your data and build the idea of the article, build the hypothesis, and select the figure and tables that will illustrate this hypothesis. And then you put in methods, results, discussions. So really the core, that's the core, if we're talking about human body, it would be the belly and the center part. Then you attach it with, you attach introduction and conclusion that should mirror each other, and title, abstract and keywords goes only the very last. As we mentioned, all three needs to really precisely reflect what is in the article, and that's why you should really write it at the very, very end. All right, so this is a recapitulation. I won't read it all. It's rather for the slide deck as such that I will share with you, so then to understand what we have said. And let's move over to English language, and I'll let you read this sentence in silence.
I think this is very, very much about of the culture of writing. Is because some sciences or some persons want to describe everything and write everything and have very much difficulty to synthesize the information. That's why it's very awkward and very difficult to read a paper. And this is some persons learning in our own countries to write dissertations about almost nothing, and others can synthesize very good.
Yeah.
So this is a question of, the culture is very important on this.
Yeah, definitely. And in that sense, the countries of Eastern Europe, if I can count Lithuania in Eastern Europe as well, we a little bit lag behind in that sense, because the previous generations were not taught to do that much, as the world was a little bit disconnected, and now you are requested to do that, but actually your seniors very often can't show you the good example. So we are all in a little bit difficult situation, And yeah, thank you for that comment. So English is very important. It's besides really the structure and the words that you're using, that you would use in your native language, as just was mentioned, but also the translation to English that happens in your brain is very difficult.
I want to interrupt you again. There was several cases that people write the papers in their own native language and then they translate it. This is incorrect. This is a waste of time, of money, of everything. If you can, it's better write directly in English, because translations will always give to misinterpretations and everything that is come bad after it. So it's better that you could write in English directly.
Even to think in English.
Yes.
Well, that's of course the target.
But there were cases when they tried to publish the same paper in Ukrainian language in local magazine, and the same translated paper.
But it's a pleasure.
Yeah, we will come to it in the ethical aspects of the presentation. So for the English language, so basically you have heard what is written on the first half from the editor here. Second thing is whether publishers do something with the language. No, this is not our role. It is your responsibility, the author responsibility fully. Yeah, again, the first part was quite well reflected here. So I just mentioned the common errors, which are incorrect sentence constructions. Your language has different logic in constructing sentence, and we bring it to the English very much. Incorrect tenses, the same reason behind. Incorrect grammar, well, the same reason, of course. Inconsistent use of English throughout the paper, especially when two people write it together, for instance. Very often people ask, is British or American English good? And is good, just consistent. Sentence is too long. Research should be precise language, so use short sentences. All right, again, recapitulation. So good language is really vital, both, let's say, the logic of the sentences, but as well good words and good English. Publishers won't edit it for you, and it's you who is responsible to write it well, clearly and concisely. All right, let's now go through the two procedures. First is submission, and then we will provide the full picture of how the review or the way through the journal works. Yeah, so quite clear tip and trick is revise. And that's, I believe that again it could be confirmed here from the editor directly, that people are pissed off if you submit something that just where our spelling typos, really incorrect language, not well. It's showing a little bit of disrespect to the journal as such, and also it might lead to a rejection.
There is one important thing. It's the last time that I will speak. It's a really important thing, because if you saw the submissions, the journals are overloaded with papers. Totally overloaded, you know. An editor can manage 80 papers easily. So if you have these basic problems, the paper will directly go, not even go to reviewers. And it's a waste of time from the ones that are writing. But the most important of all, I consider that the same amount of time that you could do it do it also for editing. Editing. Because better your paper are edited, better can pass the editor. It's easier to publish.
Yeah, again, the point is, don't hassle. Very often you submit it before some deadline, but really rather take some more time and provide good manuscript. Otherwise, you will then lose all the effort very easily by this desk rejection just because it is poorly written. And when submitting, include a covering letter, explain why you have, well, first of all, say that you have an approval from all the co-authors to publish that paper. Explain very shortly and very easily what you have done in your research and why are you submitting to this particular journal. and you can suggest a couple of names of reviewers. You could see we work with quite an army of reviewers, but it also means there is never enough reviewers. Every editor is constantly seeking for new names, therefore any suggestions might be helpful. It's not the way that we will then use all of those three that you write us. We might use one, we might not use any, we might use more. So, and the summary here is very simple. Check, check, check again. And I will provide one statistic number for that. From some research, there is a number of 10. 10 times usually people edit from the first draft to the final draft. But think about it, just an average. So probably these senior researchers are those that edited 5 times, but for maybe the younger teams it should be even more. All right, review. So how the review looks like. So yeah, everybody waits there in the journal to beat you up. So that's not, of course, the case. And I think that, again, it was already quite mentioned and illustrated that very often people take the review as that somebody wants to insult you, say you how stupid you are, but that's not the case. Review is really a constructive process to do research. Everybody learns from that, and the same you should do. This is how it looks in reality, in technical drawing. So first of all, you submit a paper, and it goes to the hands of the handling editor of the journal. He or she looks on it, and we already know that already at this desk it can be decided to accept or reject in terms of pass to peer review or reject because it's poorly written, submitted to wrong journal. If yes, editor finds reviewers, send it to the reviewers, ask for the review, reviewers send back review. There are 3 possible outcomes: reject, accept, and accept with major or minor revisions. Well, reject is quite frequent, you know, but accept is very rare. It's very scarce. The most typical outcome would be, or rather it would be accept with minor or major revision, so nobody writes perfectly the first thing. Then editor sends you back the request for revision, as he derives it from the reviews, and you are given time to redo the article. And again, it is advisable not to rush, not to hassle. Imagine how much time you already spent with doing the research, writing the article. So also take your time to do the revision properly. Think about it, and then you send the article back. And again, the editor usually sends it back to the reviewer, because reviewers are the people that read it, and sometimes people, upon request of a small correction, redo the whole thing. So that's why the original reviewers see it, and again the round goes again, and afterwards, after the second review, second round of reviews, the editor decides accept or reject. So what are reviewers looking for? Yeah, and that was, you commented on it already, so yeah, it's the originality and importance of the hypothesis. And you can explain a lot in the introduction, as was mentioned, but of course this is sought for in the whole of article. Clear progression through the paper, well presented. If you can tick all of these 4, there is a chance you will be accepted. When you are asked for revisions, what you should do then? Well, there are some some examples what you should do, what you should not do. So in general, you should answer each and every request for correction. Right, maybe I'll let you some time to read it. Yeah, this is just for an illustration. It's from a comic strip, phdcomics.com. You can find some more if you want to a little bit, yeah. All right, so you need to answer each and every revision request, even it would be small one. For instance, I don't know, you forget the label over a table and you're asked to edit up. Then in the letter with your resubmission, you again write, answer every point. I edit the title of the table, and also, of course, you then comment if you are asked for major revisions, for instance, to do some more analysis or to add some more experiments. You shortly explain in that letter what you have done, so that it's clear both to editor and also reviewer when we're reading the paper. If it might happen that you disagree with the reviewers, actually, well, it happens a lot, but first think about that reviewers are really experts, very often senior experts. So maybe they are right, and if you are sure they are not right, or in social sciences sometimes you might have, let's say, a different scientific opinion about the problematics, then you need to at least explain yourself. You need to put a good paragraph backed up with the literature and with strong arguments explaining why you would wish to keep it that way. So recapitulation for the review process. So you submit and it goes to the handling editor, who also manages the whole process. The editors can do, and they do, desk critic papers. After the first control of the editor, the article is passed to the reviewers, and reviewers give the recommendation to the editor whether to accept, reject, or ask for revisions. Reviewers and editors are both looking for the novelty in papers and the technical quality. And don't forget, revision process is critical, but it's constructive, and it should be seen as such. Publishing ethics. So now we go towards the part where also plagiarism will be discussed. There is a lot of malpractice in doing research and in scientific publishing, and we can divide it into two categories. The first one would be a serious ethical violation for which you can be sued. Somebody can raise a lawsuit against you, which would be fabrication of data and cases, willful falsification of data, and plagiarism. Yeah, plagiarism is in this category. Then there are questionable research practices, such as having no ethics approvals, not admitting missing data, ignoring outliers, no data on side effects, give authorship, redundant publication, inadequate literature search. So what is plagiarism? And well, let's not go into the definitions, but I think we all know what it is. It's basically using anybody else's knowledge in your paper without proper citation. What is plagiarism, or how those knowledges are expressed? It might be anything. It might be words, ideas, findings, writings, and so on. So basically anything, really, if the knowledge doesn't originate in your brain, there should be, or in your brain as a result of your research, etc., needs to be properly cited. Many people take the way that they've paraphrased to not be found. That's still questionable research. It's still the same plagiarism as if it would be direct copying of those words. And copying your own work, reusing it, or as we heard, translations, that's still the same plagiarism. Copying one's own work, it's rather questionable research practice. And there is always a proper way to go. You can always do, when you want to, for instance, translate, you can always write. For instance, imagine a case, you are a young researcher, you write a paper, and because it's one of your first papers, you just write it to the national, local journal with, And the article receives really critical acclaim. It's really highly evaluated. You hear on the conferences that it's great work, and you should publish it elsewhere. So what you should do is to submit it to international journal and note remark in the covering letter, it was already published in Lithuanian language in this and that journal, but I was repeatedly approached by people that it's really interesting piece of research that would be good to have internationally written in English. And that's fair. Yeah? You should not hide this fact. In the part of the lecture about selection of your journal, I mentioned that you should submit only to one journal at a while. Yeah, it is prohibited to do double submission, and actually we do have a software to check that, and the software is a cross-publisher. So even if you submit to Elsevier or to Wiley, we will immediately know, because the system will just do a quick alert. What you should do if you want to, sometimes it takes, I experienced the case that it took really such a long time that the authors got pissed. Then you just need to write to the editor that you are withdrawing the article, and the editor will withdraw it from our system, and then you can do submission to another journal. Yeah, this is the name of the software that we use, Crosscheck, or not we, publishers use. All right. Another ethical aspect is who is written as an author. I don't know if you have come to that situation already, but many people already did, deciding on who are the authors of the article. Well, I think it's quite clear who is first author. That's the person who leads the research. Corresponding author is the person that communicates with the publisher. So it might be the first author, but it might be also the youngest member in the team. So anybody. So actually, being corresponding author doesn't mean anything. That's important to say. And who is co-author? Co-author is somebody that needs to do an intellectual contribution to your paper. And of course, this is a difficult decision point, so I will again give you a simplistic example. For instance, if there is somebody that measures the data for you. Very often in chemistry, they use very sophisticated machines, and if you're not researcher and trained for the machine, you can't use it, but you need to use it for your research. Therefore, you need to ask somebody to do the measurement for you. They do the measurement, and then they return you the data. Is it a co-authorship? It is not co-authorship in case the person just gives you back the data and bye-bye. It would be a co-author in case that he sits or she sits with you, help you interpret the data, help you to construct the hypothesis or the idea of the article, and any other way contributes really to the scientific work. And usually that person should, let's say, understand the work that you are doing and be able to interpret and present the conclusions of the article you are writing. So that's a co-author. In case it would really be the person that would just measure, always put them at least to the acknowledgement, because it's still helpful. Conflict of interest, that's another ethical aspect. It might be when you, for instance, know somebody in the journal, or is it somebody from your relatives. It might be direct financial, indirect financial, career and intellectual, institutional, or personal belief conflict of interest. What you should do in the case that you have a conflict of interest. Nothing more that I already mentioned, just mention it. Just mention it in the covering letter, in the communication to the editor, that there is such a relation. It's a problem when you hide that fact. If you say it, of course, maybe there can be then a result that the editor advises you maybe to go somewhere else. It's a really huge conflict of interest, but usually the editor would just avoid the way that your conflict of interest comes into the game. All right, so what are the severe consequences for specifically the first three types that I mentioned? Well, I will not read the slide, but I will give you one life example. Maybe you have seen in the media the case of German minister that plagiarized part of, I think it was his PhD thesis, just one chapter, not really much, but as a result, as a consequence, he lost his career. He needed to step down from the ministerial position. Of course, also, you lose a lot also in terms of personal relation and of your standing. So do not do that. If you really want to have maybe some career, then rather find the proper way how to do things. All right, so Recapitulation of the publishing ethics. The first point, I think, is the most crucial. Never be tempted. Always try to find the proper way, even though it might cost you a little bit more of your time, but it will pay off in the future. Submit one article at a time. Acknowledge all authors that should be credited, none that shouldn't be credited. Disclose any conflict of interest to the editors, and think about the potential consequences. Promoting your work, and now we are getting towards the end, so before we get there, any questions or comments on the ethics? I'm sure your head must be full of the questions about plagiarism. No, it's clear. That's good. That's actually very good. Okay, let us then go to the promotion. Well, at the beginning, I throw on you a couple of numbers, which is saying one thing. There is plenty of people in research. It's really huge business today. And it means that also, if you want to be successful, you can do an extra step for you to help accelerate your career and to promote a little bit your work. The first thing that you do is already when you follow the advices on how to structure and describe your article, because this helps a lot to the search engines to find your article and return it in the search results. It would be those keywords, proper subheadings, picture labels, and yeah. Then, for the promotion itself, you might think about several ways how to increase your visibility in the world of research. You might use audio slides. That's a new feature with Elsevier journals where you can provide a 5-minute or a very short speech. What is your article about? And it is attached directly to your article. Everybody can play that. Of course, present your work at conferences. It's equally important as writing articles. From conferences, you can always put the presentations, for instance, on SlideShare or on your personal website. Share links of your articles whenever possible. Again, personal website or other profiles with people. Also, you might tweet it, etc. And that leads me to the last 2 points: social media and social networks. Use them. Of course, today there are plenty of them, and it will be quite time-consuming to maintain many of them. So rather pick up 1 or 2, maybe create professional profile, maybe on LinkedIn or other, and then use another one network where you would systematically put all about your research, put the articles in your presentations, links, etc. And it will also help the overall visibility of you on the internet. And then, of course, try to understand the impact of your research by monitoring citations, views, downloads, altmetrics. Altmetrics is alternative metrics. It means how many times, it measures what social impact it has gained, for instance, how many times it was mentioned in tweets, on blogs, mass media, etc. And if you become an Elsevier author, we will do this for you, because every author in Elsevier has a personal dashboard, which is called Elsevier Connected. That's the name of the platform, and everybody can see really per article plenty of metrics and understand how the research interacts with the other researchers, even to such a great detail that you can see how your articles were found, which keywords the people use to identify that, and many more. But I will not go any further today. Maybe next time we can also present this platform. And that's it. That's it, but this was a quite very short excerpt of publishingcampus.com. So I strongly advise you to go there, and you will find for every topic that was maybe today mentioned just in one slide or even in one bullet point, you will find a training there, a webinar that you can follow and educate yourself more in those aspects. And also do not hesitate, of course, to contact me if you would have any specific question. Any questions now? If not, then let me go directly into the second presentation, and then we do the coffee break. I will shorten this to 10 minutes only, so that we can keep the time of the coffee break. So, introduction to Mendeley. Is there anybody that heard about Mendeley already? Yes? 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 But some of... yeah. Alright, so let me do that introduction very quickly. Maybe first comment on the title. So I name my presentation Store, Cite, Collaborate and Accelerate, and that's exactly what we will be talking about when talking about Mendeley. And I paste the first slide with different than normally. Normally we would explain what it is, but I'll start how people perceive Mendeley. This is a lot of comments that we receive through social networks. Such as, it has simply blown the minds of many who I have thought about Mendeley. Mendeley has literally saved my life. I was losing my mind over my master's degree. Everything has changed. Now I can have all my readings organized, etc., etc. Why I'm pasting in here? Mendeley is a community's tool. We try to share a lot with the community. Also, we try to gain a lot and listen a lot to the community. And as a result, you have this great perception. And also, it shows that Mendeley is a tool that people like. And if they like it, there must be something about it. So what is it? What is about Mendeley? First of all, what it is, Mendeley is a reference manager, and what reference manager does, reference manager allows to manage, read, share, annotate, and cite research papers, and practically speaking, PDFs and other formats of research published. Then, second thing about Mendeley is that it is academic collaboration network. So it's not only a reference manager, but you have a profile, and you can communicate, collaborate, and share with the people on the same network as you are used to with other networks. And this network today has more than 4 million users, with the strongest user base at, for instance, at MIT, Oxford, Cambridge, etc. So it's a really very widely and well-known tool. And last thing is that Mendeley, as I mentioned, share a lot with the community, and therefore we also have an open API, means that everybody can data mine in the data and use further the data that are in Mendeley. So Mendeley is also very nice too, because it's available for free. You can just go to the website and download it. The website is mendeley.com. It works across platforms, never mind whether you have with Mac or Linux, and it also works in all major browsers. We also have application ready for all the devices, starting from your computer, where you can download the desktop application. There is also an online application, and then mobile and tablet applications. So what is the value of such a tool? What does it bring to the people if they are using this? Well, the reference management part helps the productivity, helps how efficient are you when, for instance, putting together the reference list. The second thing, the collaboration functionality, it helps you collaborate, because let's admit it, you now collaborate and use the IT technologies to complete your studies, complete your courses, to write, to share knowledge, and that's exactly what it enables. And the last part, the open API, it enables the community to understand more what is happening in this particular world. So let's go into details of the functionalities. Well, of course, not all of them, but let's just mention the basics. So first of all, what Mendeley does is that you can add and organize your PDFs. It's very difficult normally to find all your PDFs that you need in a while because it's hidden somewhere on your hard drive. But Mendeley nicely organizes it, and it takes all the metadata with, you can describe it, that is later on used for the citations. You can edit just by drag and drop from your computer, or you can set up the watch folder. Therefore, you just store it to one folder or to 1, 2, 3, how many you wish. And Mendeley automatically recognizes that and brings it to its interface. You can also transfer from other reference managers, or you can install Mendeley Importer, a tool to your browser that would automatically collect PDF from the website together with the data that Mendeley can find around it and identify it as the metadata, author, year, journal, etc. Last thing is that you can of course download directly from the databases such as Science Direct, and it's let's say 100% perfect import with all the metadata that you need. Reading and annotating in Mendeley is really easy, so when you open PDF, it doesn't open in Acrobat Reader, it opens directly in Mendeley, and you can highlight, you can annotate, and that version of article you can share with other people, with your collaborators. What I love about Mendeley, for instance, a very small thing, when working with PDFs, you read an article and you don't have the time to finish it. At least it happens to me a lot. I need to close it, or go somewhere else, and maybe in next 3 days I don't have time, and only after 3 days, and I don't really remember where I ended up, and you need to search it. And that's nice about Mendeley, it opens the PDF again at the point where you ended it. So yeah, just a small addition to the main functionalities. There are much of those good things, I would say. And then reference managers. Reference manager functionality, it on one click generates citation and bibliographies very easily. Keep it automatically up to date when you correct some detail. In Mendeley, it automatically transferred into Microsoft Word, OpenOffice, or LaTeX. We work with all of this, and you have available more than 7,500 citation styles. Again, those are built by the community. Therefore, I'm sure you will find as well Lithuanian one there. When I checked for the first time the Czech ones, I don't know if I mentioned that I'm from the Czech Republic, I thought, okay, well, I will find maybe 1 or 2. There was like 150, so I was really surprised. All right, next one. So for collaboration and interaction, you can set up public groups, private groups, and public groups upon invitation only. And these 3 types support both the sharing of your knowledge within a small project group, or to share, for instance, readership lists with your students. So really, it fits any size. All the data that you have in Mendeley are backed up and synchronized, including the PDFs. So when you're traveling and you don't take with you your laptop, or you don't have your laptop, just if you have an internet connection, you can go to your library with all your PDF, and you won't lose anything. If you, for instance, lose the hard drive, nothing happens because it's in Mendeley. And you can network and discover. So all these groups that are set up in a public mode can be also tracked. All the profiles can be found, so you can check the people, what they are doing, follow them, follow the public groups, join the discussions, and more. In Mendeley, given the fact that people put in a lot of literature, we construct from that a huge catalog, and you can also search through it. And it's currently more than 400 million documents, therefore it's kind of the biggest database of research today. And for each piece of that, we run and show readership statistics. Readership statistics tells you how many people downloaded it, therefore read it in Mendeley already, what is their academic profile, geographic location, from where your paper or that particular paper was read. And for the open APIs, we have a developers portal where anybody can just go and start writing, constructing their own project, how to use the data. I would maybe mention just one more comment about readership statistics, why you should be interested in that, because usually you maybe look into citations, or people tend to look in citations, and readership actually shows this, but much more in advance. Citation comes only after some years, whereas readership you can see right away. And from the research that we've done on the topic, the result is that readership, especially in hard sciences, in science, technology and medicine, are really a good prediction for the later on received citation impact. In social sciences and art and humanities, it's the correlation is not that strong. All right, getting towards the end of this presentation. So how two important plugins to be installed. I basically already mentioned it, but just to summarize, there is a web importer to the button that you install in your browser, and then you can automatically collect the data and the PDFs directly from the website. And then World plugin to make the linking work, the reference management functionality work well. Also, I already mentioned that there is direct integration with other Elsevier products, ScienceDirect and Scopus. You can download directly, again, just by one click and go there. And also we use the thing that I mentioned under OpenAPI, that we can use the data, because we show in Scopus, within each and every article, the readership statistics from Mendeley. So in that database, people can see not only the citation, but also this one. All right, and again, Mendeley is a community tool, so we put a lot of material on the website. It's a free for use tool. Anybody can become a Mendeley ambassador and further spread the knowledge, share the videos, tutorials, etc. We are all on all those social networks, and we also love to hear the feedback. It's very important, and based on the feedback that we are collecting, we are also deciding on the development of the tool. So the development group really collects, evaluates all the new functionalities that are requested, or the correction of functionalities that are in there, and then can do a short questionnaire about what is the most important, and then they go that way. All right, so that was it. As I promised, no more than 10 minutes, so it was actually 11, so sorry for the 1 minute more. And I just advise you to go to mendeley.com and at least try it. I think it will help you to change the way that you work in your research. So in the next 40 minutes I will present you a couple of things about ScienceDirect. Usually it's very difficult to get people to see a presentation or a training about ScienceDirect, because it is itself that very easy that people think they don't need training. And indeed this is the perspective with which we are developing it, but still I think there are quite some interesting small things that you might not see if you not go through the trainings. And I hope that at least each of you will take away, let's say, one small functionality that will improve and make your work with this database more efficient. So first of all, what it is a platform for researchers where you can find full text, authoritative information from scientific, technical and health disciplines, and with smart and intuitive functionality. We also aim at make it easier for you to stay informed about the research that is being published in your respective fields and journals. All right, so when we are thinking about ScienceDirect, we try to investigate among researchers how do they work to really make it fit for the purpose. And this is what we hear, what is the biggest pain for the researchers as such. First of all, it is I need to keep up to date with what's happening in my field. Second thing is I need to collaborate. I need to know the people who are writing, in the subject matter, find ground co-applicators, etc. Also, next thing is there is so much information available. How can I really orientate in that maze of information? Once I've heard a great metaphor about, finding the information, and especially on the internet, that it's like taking a cup of water, if you want to drink a cup of water from the hydrant. And last thing, key thing that we hear is that you want to find the relevant research, at the time that you want, not that you have right now a must to do that, but to have it at the right time. And these are all aspects we have in mind when developing Science Direct. So we try to help you discover the relevant information, keep you informed about the latest developments and news, give you access to the very detail that you need from the research once you are interested in that particular article, and make this process very quick and very easy. So, with Science Direct and with the publications that we put into the Science Direct, we try to address the 5 key research needs that I just mentioned, like finding insights in my discipline. So again, it's about finding the literature, discover content in new emerging fields. So it's not, sometimes people tend to go to 2-3 journals, but actually the content is appearing also somewhere else. New journals are on, so therefore it is also crucial for you to not lose this. Gain access to the research data, that's new, right? We haven't had that a few years ago, but now you can really learn a lot from the data sets and make your research easier by using other data sets. Also important is to get access to high quality articles, not to every article, but to predominantly read this what other reads and what is perceived to be quality. And access to content anytime and anywhere is a must, of course. And here again I will do a small exercise with my question here. When do you think, when from the usage statistics, is Science Direct used the most? In hours, in a time slot, in a day?
At night time.
Night?
Night time.
Night time, yeah.
Not the day time.
All right, that was easy. Yeah, that was easy. It starts actually from 10 or 11 p.m. until 2. That's the peak of usage. So yeah, anytime and anywhere is really key. And of course, help me promoting my research and make it visible. That's also the goal we have. All right. So again, a little bit about us, although you already know. So we are a global provider. Currently, we have approximately 25% share. So Science Direct, even though we put only our content in there, it provides quite a lot to you from the world of research. Some more numbers are 2.2 active journals, 2,200 active journals, book titles, series. That is all in Science Direct. We work globally. I don't think I will mention from this slide only that we work also across science fields. We do cover all of them. Yeah, and a couple of interesting facts. So first of all, the fact that we had 25% share means that 1 of 4 scientific articles published in the world is published by Elsevier. But okay, that's quantity. You don't need to necessarily be interested into it. But important to mention is that we have average relative impact factor of 1.1. So this is already average. So it means we are 10% better than the average with every piece that we publish. And you can imagine from the Gauss curve that of course also we do have, let's say, weaker things, stronger things, but if we manage to have with these 2,000 to 3,000 journals still above average quality, it really, I think, says something. Alright, so for the numbers, there are 13 million articles in Science Direct from more than 2005, 500. Yeah, so the slide before was a little bit oldish. and 33,000 books. So it is combined. What we have, some publishers actually have different platforms for accessing books and articles, which we found is not a good practice. Why? Because people really don't care whether you find the knowledge you need in an article or on the website or in the book. It's just about that you find it. Yeah, there is still a bit different content that is in books and in articles, but yeah, it is important to have it together. From the whole content, from the 30 million content pieces, it is about 8 million of research articles. And yearly we add approximately just 400,000. All right, let me go ahead. How Science Direct works and looks. And I will be very quick with this, and then I will keep it as a leading point to my online demo, because I think it's more useful to show it to you live than just show screenshots. So, this is how it works. So it's type of Googlish interface. We are now in an alpha beta testing, so we have 2 interfaces right now, and sometimes you would see this, and sometimes you would see the old one, but it looks like we will implement this one, because that's what people want. Yeah, that's also why Google is so successful, really provide as simple as possible. And if you would have that questions, what's the wallpaper behind, then you also find that information. It's a Broad Street cholera outbreak map by John Snow from 1854. It's also a piece of research that we put as a wallpaper, and it will be changing. Okay, one thing that I mention is that we want to keep things simple. And really, we try to clean the Science Direct as much as possible to really just have the information that you need, nothing else. And this is how the article looks like. You have 3 panes. This is for orientation, this is for the content, and this is for the additional content. And in the live session, I'll show you more how that works. Yeah. On the right-hand side, as I mentioned, there are some additional information, and this is also the place where we show the interoperability with other search tools, such as if you have a linkage to the data repository, you would always find it here, as given by the example. This is to the Panagea. Yeah, accessible. It doesn't mean not only to have 24/7 access, it also means to have it accessible from any device you are using, smartphones, tablet, and that's reality. Also, remote access when you are not on your institution, because usually the access is provided based on IP address, but that's nothing difficult. So you just need to ask your library how that's provided to you, but there are tens of ways how to secure that. And last thing about accessibility I will mention is about open access. There is a lot of open access things. I mentioned what it is at the beginning, and you can quite really easily track that in Science Direct. And again, I will show you the way how. And also still about the accessibility is our partnership with third-party platforms, because we acknowledge that the fact that you have, let's say, 10 databases doesn't make it that easy to really find the relevant information. Therefore, as much as possible, we try to work with other platforms. So this is a case from PubMed, for instance, and you see our logo in that platform if you have direct access to the article that is mentioned in PubMed. We also work with Google, because sometimes it's difficult. People search on the internet, we know that. It drives a lot of traffic towards Science Direct, because we give away our information and information about you, if, of course, you allow. And then the researcher and student can be led directly to Science Direct when the really final text lies, because sometimes you get a lot of links, but they are blind, they are closed, or it's not final version. So this way, we also try to make your way to the information a bit more efficient. Books, another piece of efficiency. I mentioned it's easy to, well, it's better to put it together, so we have it together. But on top of that, of course, especially with books, people tend to print it and people tend to share it, to store it somewhere and work with it. And here also helps a lot the integration with Mendeley. You just directly take the book to the Mendeley and you can start reading and highlighting. And especially that is something that you do with books. All right, to stay current, to stay updated with the field, there are several features that you can use. First of all, RSS feeds that if you use that channel, or articles in press. Today, with all the IT technology, we don't wait and withhold the article that is ready for publishing. We just put it online as soon as possible, even though it will be published technically much later on. And that's also the reason why today you can see articles published in the year 2016 and even already cited in 2016. So, yeah. Also, alerts are quite useful. If you know and if you're following 1, 2, 3 journals, you can set up an alert so that it always, well, you know what it is. It just tells you when new issue or a new article, we go to the, given the fact that we have articles in press, we go to the article level alerts. Also, you can set up a topical alert for a particular field of research or a search alert. So you just set up your query once, you save it, and we just send you weekly new results for that query. So actually, once you spend a bit of time with ScienceDirect, set it up well, you don't need to go there anymore, because we will send you everything by email. Well, you can also check our platform top 25 hottest articles, which lists the most cited things in a subject field. And next, smart functionality. So also we try to be smart to really enable the efficient way towards the information, is recommended articles. Recommended articles are available on the right-hand side. Oh, sorry. And yeah, it doesn't work right there. And it really does the data mining thing and returns the most similar article to what you are reading. And it works a lot. We know that from statistics that more than, I think it's like 5% of usage is driven only by this one tool. So people really go from the article towards the recommender. Yeah, I mentioned that it's important also to provide you some quality indication of the article. That's why we put in some indicators. For instance, in references, you directly see the number of citations in the references of the article, so you can go also this way farther. You can also see more information about the author, just by clicking on its name. And yeah, you can also directly find the citing articles. For the visualization, we had that little bit in the author workshop, where again on the right hand side you can see all the apps that we provide. For instance, virtual microscope, which is very helpful in medicine, because normally if you would have a printed article you have just picture that doesn't tell you much. But we really provide there a full-scale picture with a zooming tool which helps you understand what the research result is about. You can also search in images. And yeah, there is direct integration both with Mendeley and also RefWorks. All right, and now I sit down and guide you through that to show you all of those small, nice things. So how do you get to ScienceDirect? First question. Yeah, that is a good answer. You start with www and then just write sciencedirect.com. Oh, now you see that I'm not sure if alpha or beta test, but yeah, I see the old design. So All right, so it's still the same. It just looks a little bit more cleaner, the new one, but the same functionality, meaning that you can directly search in all fields any keyword, and I will use this social technologies. That is one of the focus research areas. All right, so this is how the search results look like. And let's look on how the article looks like. All right, so you see that I have a small resolution, therefore it automatically hides the structure of the article, because at this moment the content is more important, but you can anytime open it and go through very quickly, directly seeing the tables, which sometimes help you really get whether this is relevant article or not. And you can show full outline. This is just shortened, again, for the sake of easier and efficient understanding, but you can see full of it if you're interested. So that's the orientation in the article. I'll go right back to the top. You can see authors. If you click on the author name, you can see the information we have about this, and maybe I'll be lucky with some more. If they would be publishing already some other articles that we have in ScienceDirect and Scopus, you would see all the information in there. So directly, you could go to other research they publish, because again, as I said, researchers do publish on one topic very often, so that person can be quite interesting to you. So we make a shortcut how you can get to the results. Mm-hmm.
There is one thing that I like to call to the attention. Look at the time that the paper starts to be received until it is published.
Yeah, because it speaks to receipt of the first of time.
Yeah.
To see how much time this thing takes.
Yeah. We haven't a lot of time, you know.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, that's one of the things that you can see as well. All right, you can show more or show less. This is actually the natural setup. And these are the highlights. This was mentioned in the previous lecture, that we started to put in the article or ask the authors to not provide only abstract, but also bullet point summary for the article, which again helps people to more quickly understand what the article is about. And on the right-hand side, you have this recommended article. So the good thing is that once you find really a good article, then the machine does another searching work for you. Of course, the recommendations are not always 100% great for you, but check that, and you can even go to view more articles, which shows you all that could be identified on that particular topic in ScienceDirect. So you are again in the search results and can do the same way. All right, let me keep the outline of the presentation. So let me go to the first screen and I'll follow that. So yes, we done search. This is how I said how simply it is organized. And next thing is the interoperability. Well, he doesn't have anything in here, so maybe let's try to find something else. Okay, no, maybe because we are in this area, it's quite typical for different areas. Let me just try to do a simple search, for instance, on heart attack. And see if we can get that. Okay, not in here, but well, you can see that from the presentation. And another thing I would like to mention, not only recommended articles that you can find, but we identify also related book content for the piece of content that you have displayed. Why? Because very often people do the literature search really to construct the theoretical part. And most of the theory is written either in those reviews or in books. Books very often serve as the reservoir of the basic information of the theories of the knowledge collected over time. So that's why we put it here, and you can go there directly just by clicking on it. If of course, you have access. That might be tricky. All right, accessibility, that is something we will not show, but you can check on your smartphones right here, right now, if that works. Open access. So, once you might be requested, or you already were, to publish under open access, to make the result directly available. And Science Direct makes this information quite easily available. I go to back. You can go to the first screen just by clicking on the Science Direct logo. And you can see that within each and every journal, you just go to a journal. Maybe let's go to Social Sciences and Humanities rather, given the profile of your university. All right. And you can browse through the fields, and also this way you can discover what journals exist in those fields. Let's go to Arts and Humanities. And yeah, I was searching for social technology, so maybe this is something quite close. So let's go for Media Technology, just this one, and apply. And you can see 570 titles found. That's a lot. And this green icon actually indicates that you don't have full access to that. So probably you are rather interested in the content you have access to not lose your time. And you can limit here on the access type. If you want that you have access really to the information, you just click on full text access. Okay, not good. So let me add up some, maybe from business management. That's also the field I understand your university works in a lot. Let me add up in full. And you see, we are still filtered on these full text access. If you would like to see all that exists, you would go again to all access types. But now you see with each and every publication, it might be a journal, it might be a book in this list, what type of access it has. Either green, that's open access. Yeah, sorry, no, green is that is subscribed journal. This is that normally it is subscription journal, but it allows open access. Therefore, some of the articles in there would be open for you. And the orange one is fully open access. People tend to call it gold open access when all of the content is pre-financed by authors. All right, so that's the browsing function, and of course you can see it as well in the search results. I use again the social technologies. And you can see the same icon here, right? So directly it tells you what type it is. And the same filter you can find here. Either all access types, open access articles, or open archive articles. What's the difference between open access and open archive? Open access is something that's from the beginning open access, so the author asks to get it open access, pays for it. Open archive is that we, after embargo, release it to the whole public. It's typically, for instance, for Cell, one of the most prestigious journals, we open it after 1 year. So it's under the subscription paywall only for 1 year. All right, so that's the open access question. Yeah, the cooperation with third-party platforms, I would need to go to PubMed, but let's not lose time. And yeah, this happens integration with Google happens automatically behind the walls, let's say. For the Mendeley, okay, let's see how you can actually extract information from Science Direct, because that's what you want to do. At least that we know from the user research what researcher wants to do. Just go inside quickly find the article, download and disappear from the platform. So you can download multiple PDFs. Let me pick 3. And what we provide here is a naming format. Very often people, when you want to download, for instance, from internet, you hit download and just in a second you don't remember what it is, or you don't know how to call that particular file. That's why we have this machine that where you select a type of the naming convention and it saves it under that using directly the data from the article, which is quite helpful. You can also create your own format of that. You can select any field you wish actually to construct that. Yeah, sorry. And that's it. And you just hit download and it's downloaded in a second. You can also export to Mendeley, as I mentioned. And Mendeley is not installed here, so I can't show it. But yeah, if somebody would be interested, then come back to me, and I have it installed on my laptop. I can show it live. Also, other types of export, you can export just RIS, which is for other reference managers, BibTeX, or even in text sometimes. That's also helpful when you, for instance, construct some reports. Then you need just the citation information or content citation, anything is possible. For the books, so this are we are now in all content types because we haven't limited that, but sometimes you might search for journals, I showed that, but you also might search for books, and here on top you can see journals and books. So if you just want only books, you go there. Yeah, most probably you won't have access to many books, so maybe let me log in. We will also need that to show the functionality of alerts. If you want to make this type of functionality make work, you need to log in so that the platform can remember, can set up this alert for somebody.
The keyboard, isn't it going?
Yeah, I'm trying to change it.
Is that
It doesn't work, so English, yes, better. All right, I'm getting back, so let me filter on, full text access, so that you see that even I don't have access to everything. All right, but there is something. All right, let's just say pick one, acoustics. You could again do the trick with filtering by subject fields, of course. And for the book, we organize book in the chapters. So actually, if you find it in the result, you always find a chapter, not a book. Because books are very often really compiled from different topics, so actually it really doesn't make sense to give you the full title, but the chapter. And on the page of the book you can see all of those chapters, and again you can do the same trick, you can just download it as a whole by clicking on download. Again, do any type of name for that. Yeah? And again, you can save this way the full thing to Mendeley or to other reference manager with the full text. All right, let me show you how you can access those articles in press and alerts and stuff so that you can stay current in your field. So when you want to save the alert, probably you go to the journal page, right? So you find, we find some journal. Okay, let me go just generically to social sciences now. Yeah, let's do something, acta psychologica, for instance. And here you see all the information about the journal, including the status of open access in full. And yeah, this is just the RSS icon, so if you want, you can set it up, and you see that you also have get new open access article feeds. So for the journals that are combined, you can, and you maybe don't have subscription to, you can set up alert only for that, or to subscribe to new volume alert when new volume is published. And it works really easily. You just go there and just hit save. You first need to be logged in, as I mentioned, have your username, password. And again here, you can set up an alert either for the full volume as such, or only for the articles in press, which means when a new article is published. We don't see articles in press in here, so this is a full issue, but maybe let us again go to some of the search results to show you that it exists. Maybe this time I will use heart attack keyword, hoping that I have a higher chance to get that. Oh, in here. It's always clearly said that the stage in which the article is, in this case in press, accepted manuscript. So it was already, the content as such is accepted, but it still goes through some further editing work, etc. But we already give it away to the whole public. And there are, this is corrected proof. Yeah, again, corrected proof. Yeah, but you clearly see it, what it is, in which stage it is. Alerts. Now I showed how to set up the journal alert, but you can set up more alerts and also manage your alerts. You would find them, you don't see them anywhere here. They are all stored under your profile. As I mentioned, it's important to, it's crucial to do your profile. So you just go here and hit manage my alerts. And here you can see the overview. You can easily delete any of not needed ones. And it's structured into journal and book series alerts. So this is this new volume or new articles alerts. But also you can create topical alerts. They're quite broad, but still sometimes people are interested into it. And you just hit add a search alert. And you construct a query for any keyword again. And actually I haven't said before, but it's right here, right over the search results. You just save a search alert, you give it a name. And you can select the frequency, how often we will send you the results of that particular search. So once you really define your own area, ScienceDirect will just send you what is new and you don't even need to go there. Let's go back to those alerts. And when you are in ScienceDirect, you can go to those search alerts and see the latest results, so you don't need to wait. It is set up there. Yeah, and the topic alert works similarly. It's just for predefined research areas. So the way I just showed is that you construct your own, which is maybe more appropriate for you, but if you would be interested into some more broader category, you just hit it and select a subcategory if it's analytical. So it's quite broad, as I'm saying, so not sure if relevant for you. All right. And let me just delete it because I do not need those alerts, so let me show how easily you can just delete it back. Alright. Okay, so this is for alerts. Will take some time to set it up, and ScienceDirect will then work for you very easily. We will skip that. You can just find it through Google and see the best articles. Recommended articles, that's something I have shown, so don't forget about that. What is on the right hand side, it's very useful. And yeah, let's go to the author. Let's find some author that is that has some documents so that I can see also the citation, so the additional information in it. So you can see that the search bar stays all the time with you. So actually you don't even need to go back to the homepage as I did once out of the habits from different platforms. But if you are in ScienceDirect, you really just go here and find it. All right. So let's try maybe this one. Maybe we will find more. Okay. So again, these are related articles first, because this belongs to a special issue, right? So you see the special issue information first, and then only recommended. That was not available before. So we really show only the information that are available for that particular one. We hide the rest. These would be recommended. And citing, okay, so there are no citing articles. And let's see, related book content, yes. So this is the way again. But what I wanted to show is what you can see about the authors. Okay, so again, I'm not lucky. Then I'll show just the hard tech thing. Because people in social sciences, this is social sciences that I was browsing in, and they don't tend to publish that much in articles, or it is rather in local articles. Okay, maybe with the first one we will be lucky. Let's try. Yoshimi Fukuoka. No. No, that's not possible. Really, something is wrong here. Last attempt. All right, let's take this one. All right, so no, probably I won't show you this time, but yeah, here you would basically have the list of the other documents on which you can click and go there. All right, visualizations. Well, I won't search, or let's search for this particle one from the presentation body mass index, but not FTO. All right, so in the meantime, of course, there is no visualization because it needs to happen with every presentation that something is screwed, but at least I'll show you different functionality on that. Oh, yeah, it has loaded, so it just took a time, so here it is. And this is the virtual zooming tool, you see, that you can go directly into the picture itself. And there is much more you can do with it. So this is how we work with the data. We try to work with the data across disciplines. So in technical fields, you would find another apps with geo fields, the maps, etc. And the other thing that you can see, and this is already with the assessing quality, is metrics. You can see the alt metrics here. how many times it was blogged, tweeted, the Mendeley readership as well. And of course, above here you finally have some numbers citing our articles 5. And again, you directly can see who has cited it. What is sometimes quite important, because if you find an article and say, yeah, this is it, this is what I'm doing, what helps me, then you can directly see which way it took, where the other researchers took that idea. And the citation can be also seen. Let me use the, not to scroll down, but let's use this interactive outline, and you go to references, and again, directly you would see number of citing articles in here. All right, and yeah, image searching, the last thing I would show you here. So actually in the new platform, you would find the image search directly here. Oh, and they have implemented it here as well. So you can, from the hard data or body mass index FTO genotype, if you need a picture for that, you just hit the see image results, and you can go through. An image is any graph, picture, etc. Of course, it searches in the description and in the label. Yeah, there is no technique that could search really in the picture as such. Yeah. So if you also maybe sometimes need for your student, I used it for my students when I needed some specific article. I just went to Science Direct to find the appropriate one. All right, and the Mendeley, you already know where it is. Basically, it's over text results. So, short summary for Science Direct. Everything that we're trying to do is to do it really efficiently with you. So really try to, at least when you're going now back to Science Direct, look around, because there are many tools that will help you to work with the scientific literature. And yeah, we try to really make you effective, efficient, and help you stay informed in the field. We acknowledge that you're not going to the database for your, pleasure to stay there and play there, and that's why we really try to make it as quick as possible for you. And that's it from my side. Are there any questions? No. All right, good. And then let me introduce my colleague Krzysztof Szymański, who is responsible for the research management solution, who will shortly, in half an hour, introduce you some interesting things about Scopus.
Thank you very much. So welcome today. I hope you will not be rushing home right now. So I'll try to make it as quick and efficient as possible. If I can just ask you, Lucy, for some assistance to turn on Scopus. So basically, have you heard about Scopus? Okay, have you used it? Okay. Do you know how it works behind the scenes? Okay, so let me very quickly start with... Okay, thank you. Maybe if we start very quickly with the content. Basically, Scopus is an abstract database. So we index in Scopus just abstracts, and we offer access to full text through links. But in Scopus you find only abstracts, not the full text documents. Because it's an abstract database and it's a citation database, what we care about are the different links between different publications that are recorded as citations. You can use your details.
Yeah, I tried, it doesn't work. Continue, I'll try it again.
So Scopus basically indexes journals from over 5,000 publishers. So it's not just Elsevier that is indexed there. You basically go and search through the most important literature in different disciplines.
You try it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a very big fan of presentations. That's why I wanted to show you everything live. There we go. Okay. What's in Scopus? When you go to any browser, any search engine, and you type Scopus and content, you probably land on this page. And here you can see what we index, and first of all, what disciplines are in Scopus. Basically, Scopus covers all the disciplines. We try to maintain an image within Scopus across various different disciplines and keep the balance between them. As you know, there's more communication, more scientific communication going on in medicine via journals than it is, for example, in social sciences. So in journals, there would be a little more on the natural sciences side. When we're talking about engineering, for example, in engineering, more important way of communication, or as important as journal communication, is conference proceedings, or basically conferences. We do index conferences as well. That's why you will also find them in Scopus. And for social sciences and humanities, one of the other important ways of basically presenting the results of your research are books. We do also index books in Scopus, so you'll find that information in there as well. If you're interested in details, basically what journals, what publishers we index, it's all also on this website, together with full list of journals that we index, so you can download it in Excel format and browse through the titles, and the same for books or conferences. There's also lots of information on our selection policy and the process of selecting journals. So if you're a publisher, if you're an editor, you can always come to us and we can check whether your journal meets various different criteria on our side, and once the journal meets all the criteria that we have, it will be added and indexed in Scopus. Just to make one note here, the process is not linked with any payment, so this is a free process. Also, indexing of journals doesn't come with any kind of a fee from the side of a journal. Okay, so that's the theory. Any questions on that? No, good, okay. So I'm showing you Scopus. As of now, you do not have access to it, but I'll just go very quickly through various different functionalities, because we're planning to have a longer, let's say, access period in the beginning of next year to introduce basically Scopus to all the Lithuanian institutions. So sometime in January will be communicated this very widely, so please look for that in your mailboxes. So basically Scopus offers various different searches, but the most popular search is the keyword search. So keyword search would return you different results to you when you're searching for literature. So let's say that we're doing some research in a certain area, and what we search for is anything that you have in mind?
Social technologies. Or if you have your keywords, of course, that would be preceded over mine.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, we can search for doesn't matter in a moment. There are various different fields, but the most popular one is the one where we search through article, through keywords, and through abstract. You can play with the other, but that would just narrow the results. I'm not talking about different filters, because that's irrelevant for now. When we get to the screen with the results, we get a number of various different publications that meet our search criteria. We can, of course, tweak and make our search criteria better, not to get always 100,000 documents, because none of us has this time basically to go through all of them. So we want to narrow the search criteria only to find the most important literature for us. And if we, for example, looking for the newest publications, say from 2015, as you can see, there are already some publications that are indexed with the next year's date. We want to make sure that that we are looking only for those for those keywords in social sciences area. And all we want to look are, for example, reviews or book chapters. So let's search for book chapters. And let's limit our results to that. Similarly to Science Direct, we have an option of setting up different alerts. So you don't want to run your search every single week when you start searching for new literature, but you would like to be informed what's new in your area. You can save such alert, and once the alert is set, you can also put your colleagues' emails here. You can set the frequency of those alerts. So once you have a defined search criteria, basically related to your, for example, research area, you can get information every week on any new publications that meet your search criteria. So then you and your colleagues would be informed and stay up to date with the newest literature in that particular field. If you are actually also working at the university that has access to Scopus, for example, right now, you can also put some other emails of people that do not have access to Scopus. So that way they will be informed about new publications in a given area, but of course then you will not have access to the description of it, but still you'll get some extra information on what is going on. So I invite you to do that during the trial, and that should work also for you after the trial. I will not be going into details on explaining the search results. It's very, you can say, straightforward, different ways of sorting, different way of filtering results. So, would you have any questions on that, as for now? Okay, one comment maybe to what was Lucy presenting before and how she was stressing the importance of the right references. When you send your paper to any given journal, what the reviewers would do? The reviewers would always look at your reference list. The easier it is to identify your references for the reviewers to check the sources that you are using, the more available they are, the better is for you. Because if you imagine the work of a reviewer when half of the references are basically relating to the local sources, so the reviewer cannot actually see whether you went through all the literature relevant for this particular subject or not. So using literature that is available at various different international databases that are available to editors makes it easier for the reviewers to assess whether your paper is meeting the criteria of a journal or not. And I'm not talking only about Scopus being the largest, but also looking at other different databases, so then the work would get easier. And I would also recommend using different bibliographic managers like Mendeley, because then it would help you also to structure your paper and also apply the right format of your references. Let's go into the view. Okay, we got not too many citations, well. Okay, let's look at information in the database. Every single record would be indexed with all the possible bibliographic information. What does it mean? That when we index an article from a journal or a chapter from a book in Scopus, we record information about all the authors, about all their affiliations, and we also record the information about their references. here you can see that various references are not being written in, or are not highlighted in blue. That's just a tip for you, that those references that are not highlighted, those references that you cannot click and display full record, those are coming from other sources than indexed in Scopus. So what does that mean? That we index limited number of journals. When you as an author, you cite various different sources, those that are indexed and those that are not indexed. For example, you cite journals that are indexed in Scopus and some local journals that are not indexed. We still grab the information about the sources that are not indexed. So then, that way, for example, you can see how many times different articles from journals that are not indexed were cited by publications that we index. Is that clear? Imagine I publish an article, and this article is published in a journal, in an indexed journal in Scopus. Then, not only my article is indexed, but also full references from my article are indexed. And I'm referring to various different sources in Scopus, and I'm also referring to some local journals. And the same is with my colleague, who also publishes another article, and also referring to the same source in a local journal. So that means that this local journal has been mentioned 2 times. So you can say there are 2 citations to this particular source. We can look it up, we can see that this source is being already cited, not being indexed, but this information would only be, you can say, limited to the number of citations this particular source receives. Like, for example, this particular item, we can see that this particular item is not indexed in Scopus, but we can see that it's been cited 7 times, and I can actually see what publications are citing this particular article. So if you have some articles, some good articles published in local journals, you can still see whether they are being cited by authors that are publishing in journals or books indexed in Scopus. Of course, we are very careful when using those data for any type of analysis, because that what's not indexed in Scopus is, you can say, unknown sphere to us, because you might be referring to a scientific article in a journal, but you might as well be referring to a politician's speech. And that's why we would not be counting those citations, because they are uneven. Because you cannot say, well, my work is very relevant because I received 300 citations, and what's being cited is actually my speech during, I don't know, a political gathering, but it still was cited by number of publications with relation to, I don't know, local government and so on. But my local speech is not a scientific article that we index and that we use to value the input in scientific research. This way, also, we assess the citedness of journals that apply to be indexed in Scopus. We look at how many times they are already being cited, or the publications from those journals are cited, and also we look how many times, for example, the editorial board members or the authors that are publishing them are already cited, whether they published in journals indexed in Scopus or not. We can still grab the information if they have been cited by any of those index sources by us. Any questions on that? Okay, let me go back, or actually jump from here to yet another function of Scopus, that is indexing information about authors under a certain profile. There is an algorithm behind the publications in Scopus that is looking for similarities in author names, their affiliation, their publication years range, and also discipline. As a result, there are author profiles automatically created in Scopus. That author profile would list all the publications that were published by a given author in a certain time, as long as they fit the criteria of this algorithm. Doesn't make any sense what I'm saying. So let me go back to search, and I search instead of documents and keywords, I will use the affiliation search. As we also do have profiles for universities. So this is the profile of our university. We can see how many documents we have already affiliated with our university. We see how many author profiles that are in Scopus are affiliated with our university. We can see which journals are the most popular among your colleagues. We see with what institutions we collaborate mostly when we're publishing. And here on the right-hand side, you can see in what areas your colleagues and yourselves publish. So let's skip to the authors. Maybe you see some familiar names. Okay. So I see by your slides that some names are recognized. Anyone see themselves here and want to volunteer for the name? Or you want to pick one person's profile just to use an example?
Number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
And who is that?
It's my professor.
Okay.
Also,
Okay.
Pereira, he gave a lot of questions for you. Because
Yeah, but Pereira, it was the editor, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we have a person's profile. It's very similar to an institutional profile. So we see that there are 34 documents associated with this particular person's work. And what's also interesting that we see with how many co-authors this person worked already. We can see all the documents here listed by date, or we can sort them by number of citations, papers published by this person received. We can also see on the right-hand side authors' history, so history of authors' affiliations. And also here we can see what sources this author has been citing across various different publications. As you can see here, those sources that are coming from the journals that we do not index are listed here, and we cannot see more than just a very basic bibliographic information. But as you can see, some particular items have been cited heavily, even they are the sources that we do not index. What can I also see with the author profile? Well, when I'm an author, I also want to make sure that my profile is correct. So how do we do that? Every person actually can do that, but those that it's in their interest, authors should actually do that because they know best what's their publications. No? We have two options. We can see potential author matches. So now we'll be searching for any similar names that appeared on different publications. And we can then, once verify, send feedback directly to us. Just an example, if I think this is this person's document, I can request to match also this other profile with the author profile. Or I can request author detail corrections. and then either going through all the list and clicking or unclicking certain publications, I can basically clean this profile. And once certain changes are being made, so I can decide that this is not mine, this is not mine, this stays, and so on. I can also search for any missing documents. So when I find some other documents, I'll try to add them. I will be asked by some additional information why this has not been added in the first place. So for example, I'm saying that my name was written wrong, or simply I'm not on the list in Scopus, might have happened. And so then, once I approve the changes, and I'll try to submit it, this one, at this moment, I don't want to go further. At this moment, if I continue and I send this feedback, it's not going to go through the algorithm. There will be actually a live person who would be assessing whether the changes requested are actually real, or we just playing, or somebody's making fun. And sometimes it might be that the request would be denied for the reasons I just mentioned, but also it might be denied even if you're an author and there is no clear and visual proof that actually you are an author of the document that you claim. Because what we care, first of all, in Scopus is the data to be of high quality and all the information related for authors and for institutions to be as accurate as possible. So if you claim a document saying that you're not on the author list of what we've indexed, but you're one of the authors, you would have to provide a person from the team who's actually verifying those profiles, a link to, for example, full text document, or a scan of the document where you are actually listed in the author. Then we say, we're sorry for missing you, and we'll add it to your profile, and also correct the entry. But nothing from this point is done automatically, so the algorithm is only working to set some information that we think is correct. But when you want to make sure that everything is in there, what could be in there, you have to do some manual working. And as you can see, it doesn't take long, so you can do it very quickly. Any questions? So, very quickly, let me jump back. Oops. Okay, we have a certain area that we're looking for some information about. So of course we can drill down to get some articles, whatever our goal in the search is. We can search for information about newest publication in this particular field, but we might also use it for various other purposes. For example, we can see, first of all, well, we can, before I go into what we can see, I'll tell you that you can use the filters on the left to get some idea about this particular research area, or you can directly switch on the top to the analysis of the results of your search. So then it would be presented in more visual way. So what you can actually see by doing this analysis, you can check the trend of this in this particular research area. You can check whether some subjects were actually popular and in what years, in what you can say decades, this particular topic was of interest to a number of researchers. You can check also in what journals usually the information is being published. That might be also interesting for you when you're entering a new research area and you're wondering where should I actually publish my particular paper. Pick some particular keywords that best describe your paper, do the search on this particular area, and then see in what journals papers that are referring to the same area as yours are most popular. Because Lucy also mentioned it in the beginning, that you have to carefully pick a journal, because first of all, the desk review, if your article doesn't actually relate to the area that the journal actually is working with, the article would be rejected. And sometimes the journals would have the descriptions, what area, what kind of research, what disciplines they're actually interested in. But this might not always be up to date because journals are changing. So the best way to see what's hot in the journal, for example, this time is to best check what actually are, what's the research, what are the trends using databases. When you're searching for an author, you're looking for somebody to ask some questions, maybe a leader of a project, or maybe somebody to invite for the conference on a specific topic. You can see also which authors are the most prolific ones, which publish the most in this given area. Again, you're searching for an institution to work with, institution to travel, or when Professor Żelenieni is asking you why we should pay you that much money to go to Brazil, then you say, well, this is the most, this is the university that publishes the most in this particular topic, so this is actually a good address to go. And then, of course, there are some areas, as I mentioned in the beginning, where journals are the main channel of communication of scientific results, but also, as you can see, some areas would basically publish more in books or conferences. And also, if you want to see how interdisciplinary this particular area of research is, you can check also the subject classification, so you will know more about different links between your research area and other disciplines. Okay, that would be it as an introduction from my side. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. If not, I believe that we'll be seeing each other in the new year. So let me wish you all a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year.
I will make it short. I wish you the same.
Thank you.